It's good to be here with everyone this morning. And, it's good to see the body of Christ praying for those in need, and we're encouraged by that because we're all one body. We're all connected, and if one part of the body is hurting, then it affects the whole body. So I'm glad to see everyone coming together this morning and praying for Jackie and for Jacob. So, and I'm also really, really glad to hear a lot of people talking about Jesus this morning.
Kontent li ħafna qed nitkellmu ovvjament dwar Ġesu.
And we were singing about he's indescribable, unattainable, or uncontainable.
U tkantajna wkoll kemm hu kbir u tal-għaġeb Ġesu.
He put the stars in the sky, he knows them by name.
Poġġa stilel fis-sema jaf kollha b'isimhom.
And that's actually in the Bible. That Bible tells us that.
Ovvjament dan meħud mill-Iskrittura.
It says in the Psalms, by the power of his word, the heavens were created.
Li bil-kelma tiegħu, bil-qawwa tal-kelma tiegħu l-univers sar.
The starry host, the stars, by the breath of his mouth.
Li l-istilel ħarġu bin-nifs.
So when I think about that, if God is powerful enough to breathe out stars and he knows every star by name,
Lekin noqgħod naħseb u ngħid jekk Alla huwa tant kbir li nefaħ l-istilel u jafhom b'isimhom.
and by the power of his word the heavens were created,
U bil-qawwa tal-kelma tiegħu l-univers seħħ,
there's nothing God can't do.
hemm xejn mhu impossibbli għal Alla.
And this morning I want to talk to everyone about faith.
U xtaqt nkellimkom illum dwar fidi, il-fidi.
In Hebrews 11 it says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Fil-ktib tal-Lut insibu spjegata li tip ta' fidi li inti temmen f'affarijiet u titama f'affarijiet li ma xettarhom.
And then the person that wrote Hebrews goes on to give us examples of people from the Old Testament that were great men and women of faith.
U mbagħad il-ktib tal-Lut kompla wkoll jiftaħ u semma nies li kienu jusin bħala nies ta' fidi.
Faith in English, you all know this, is F-A-I-T-H.
Fidi bil-Malti F-I-D-I.
So in Maltese, you're going to have to come up with your own explanation because I know it's Fidi in Maltese. It's only 4 letters, but faith, F-A-I-T-H, forsaking all, I trust him. Right?
Li bl-Ingliż ovvjament li l-kelma hija miktuba differenti milli bil-Malti u kull ittra pastatu jgħid xi ħaġa għaliha kull kelma.
So you're going to have to come up with something in Maltese for that.
Għalhekk bil-Malti wkoll għandna nużaw dawn l-ittri biex forsi npoġġuhom bħala kliem.
But that's what faith is. It's trusting God and trusting what he said, what his word says.
Ma fl-aħħar mill-aħħar kif tafu kelma fidi tfisser li tafda fil-kelma tal-Alla u dak kollu li jgħid.
So God's word is the foundation for our faith.
Għalhekk naraw li permezz tal-kelma tal-Alla stess il-fidi tagħna tikber.
But I'm going to pick one of the people from Hebrews 11 is a person named Joseph.
Ħanieħu persuna msemmija fil-ktib tal-Lut bħala persuna ta' fidi li jisimha Joseph.
Not Joseph, the earthly father of Jesus, but Joseph from the Old Testament.
Mhux Giuseppe missier Ġesu, ma Giuseppe mill-Antik Testament.
And I'm going to start off, I'm going to read just a few verses from Genesis chapter 50, right at the very end of Genesis.
Ħanqara minn Ġenesi kapitlu 50.
And I'm going to read from verse 20, and then Noel can read it for us in Maltese. But it says from Genesis 50, verse 20, everybody there? Everybody got it?
Ġenesi
Say amen if you
50.
got it. I heard a couple amens. Oh, I'll wait a minute. While I'm waiting, just want to let everybody know that my dad, Bruce, and his beautiful bride-to-be, Patsy, are here, and these crazy kids, they fell in love and they want to get married. So we bless that, and we're really so happy that you two met each other. It's really answered prayer. But some of you older men and women that have been married for a while, maybe you could go back there and talk to them and give them some advice or, you know. Anyway. Okay. Genesis 50, verse 20. But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive. Now, therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. So Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's household. And Joseph lived 110 years. Joseph saw Ephraim's children to the third generation. The children of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were also brought up on Joseph's knees. And Joseph said to his brethren, I am dying, but God will surely visit you and bring you out of this land to the land of which he swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then Joseph took an oath from the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt.
Naraw minn vers 20. Ħsibtu intom biex tagħmlu li id-deni iżda Alla riedu għal-ġid biex jagħmel kif dal-jum taraw li nżomm ħajja ħafna nies. Għalhekk issa la tibżawx, jien nagħtikom tieklu lilkom u liedkom u farraġhom u kellimhom bil-ħlewwa. U Ġużepp għammar fl-Eġittu u dar missieru. U Ġuzeppi għaliex għex 110 snin. U Ġużepp ta' uliet Efraim ta' tielet nisel. U uliet Makir ukoll bin Manesse. Twildu fuq irkubtejn Ġużepp. U Ġużepp qal lil-ħutu, jien sammut, u Alla żgur jieħu ħsiebkom u joħroġkom minn din l-art fl-art il-wieda bħalfa lill-Abram, lill-Iżak u l-Ġakob. U Ġużepp ried lill-ulied Iżrael jaħelfu qal, tassew li Alla jieħu ħsiebkom u intom ittellaw għadmi minn hawn. Ġużepp miet ta' 110 snin u b'basmawh u qegħduh f'Tebut l-Eġittu.
How many verses did you read?
I don't know.
So it seemed like you read a lot of verses. Okay, so thank you, Lord. Thank you, Noel. So if you're not aware of this, there's no person in the Old Testament that prefigures Jesus or his life parallels Jesus. No person more than Joseph. There are a lot of other people, Moses and other ones, but no one like Joseph's life parallels Jesus.
ħafna karatteri fil-Antik Testament li ħajjithom tixbaħ ta' Ġesu, ma ta' Ġuzeppi hija l-iktar waħda li tixbaħ ta' Ġesu.
So when Moses started to write down the history of the world, how the earth was created, and the history of Abraham and this nation of people that God called out,
Lek meta Mose beda jikteb l-istorja tal-poplu tal-Alla u minn fejn beda,
he spends a lot of the part of the Genesis talking about Joseph and his life.
uża ħafna mill-kitba ta' Ġenesi jispjega l-ħajja ta' Ġużepp.
And even the rabbis, when they studied the Old Testament, looking for the Messiah in the Old Testament, they came up with two Messiahs, basically.
U fil-fatt anke ir-rabbid Lut meta kienu jaqraw l-Antik Testament kienu jsibu jisom ġiex Messija.
One they called the son of Joseph, who was the suffering servant that we read about in Isaiah 52 and 53.
Ta' nisemmu l-isem Wilt Joseph li huwa Seferi li jinsibuha fil-Ktieb ta' Eżajja wkoll.
And then the other one is the son of David, the conquering king.
U ħraw wkoll insibu ibn David is-Sultan.
And when you read the story of Joseph, you see that he was very much loved by his father.
Neta naraw ovvjament l-istorja ta' Ġużepp, naraw li verament missieru kien ħobbu wisq Ġużepp.
And which we know from the New Testament that Jesus was highly favored and very loved by his father.
Ovvjament anke naraw il-Ġesu l-istess li kien maħbub ħafna ovvjament minn missieru.
But because he was favored by his father, he was also hated by his brothers.
Imma naraw Giuseppe wkoll li meta għax missieru kellu l-preferenzi miegħu ħutu kienu jgħiru għalih u ma tantx kien maħbub magħhom.
And that's what happened to Joseph because his father loved him and because God had given him some revelation about some future events.
U naraw kif ġara li meta anki Giuseppe rċieva xi revelazzjonijiet minn Alla.
That they decided, his brother Judah came up with the plan that they would kill Joseph.
Fil-fatt Ġuda beda jippjana biex jara kif jeħles minn Giuseppe.
And he decided, well, instead of killing him, we'll sell him to these Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver.
U fil-fatt deċidew mbagħad li minn flok joqtluh ibijawh lill-merċenari.
Well, there was a man in the New Testament named Judas
U anke fit-Testament il-ġdid insibu wieħed b'isem Ġuda
who sold Jesus for 30 pieces of silver.
li bih il-Ġesu wkoll għall-fidda.
And then later on in the story, we see that Joseph is falsely accused.
U naraw ukoll fl-istorja, meta naraw l-istorja ta' Giuseppe li ġie akkużat ħażin għaw ġifieri akkużat mod ta' gideb.
And then we also know that Jesus was falsely accused.
Nafu wkoll li Ġesu ovvjament akkużaw b'mod ħażin u qarqu bih.
And then Genesis goes on to tell us that Joseph was thrown into a dungeon, into a hole, basically, another hole.
Fil-fatt nafu li wkoll Giuseppe intefa' l-ħabs.
And there was two men with him in the prison.
U li kien hemm ġiex ħabsin miegħu.
One was a baker, one was a cupbearer.
Wieħed kien jagħmel il-ħobs u l-ieħor kien dak li jixrob l-inbit qabel ir-re.
So the cupbearer, he was like the wine steward for the king, for the Pharaoh.
Ovvjament kif qed ngħidu dak li kien jixrob l-inbit qabel is-sultan kien ovvjament xogħlu hekk biex jara kien xemm xi valeni u hekk.
And we know what bakers do, they make bread, right?
U li ieħor kien ovvjament jagħmel il-ħobs u dawn l-affarijiet ta' bitqiq.
So there you have bread and wine represented right there.
U narġgħu wkoll ovvjament nistgħu noħduha bħala tixbieħa ċara li narġgħu naraw qed naraw il-ħobs u l-inbit.
And we also know that one, just like the two thieves on the cross, one was saved, the other one was condemned.
Fil-fatt ukoll naraw bħal ġiex ħallelin fuq is-salib u ġiet ikkundannatu li ġie salvat.
And just as Jesus rose from the dead and was exalted back to his throne, Joseph was vindicated, he was exalted from the prison and he was placed on the throne in Egypt.
Bħalma Ġesu ovvjament wara l-mewt għamel l-imwiet u ħa il-pożizzjoni tiegħu. L-istess Giuseppe ukoll li mill-ħabs spiċċa wkoll fuq it-tron ma' ġenb il-Farawni.
And then he took a Gentile bride. He married a Gentile bride.
U ovvjament Giuseppe ukoll iżżewweġ mara li ovvjament ma kienx Ludija.
And then here near the end of the story where we are now in chapter 50,
U kien naraw fil-kapitlu 50 fl-aħħar
the first time his brothers saw him, they didn't recognize him,
li meta ħutu raw raqas bis-sar fuq.
which is what happened with Jesus. The first time the Jewish people met him when he came, they didn't recognize him for who he was.
L-istess ġara ovvjament wara li għam il-mewt Ġesu ma rfuħx.
But we know when Jesus returns, and we get this from Zechariah chapter 12,
Meta nafu li meta jiġi lura Ġesu nafu minn Zakarija kapitlu 12.
and this was written way before Jesus, of course, was born.
Dana kif tafu ktib ta' Zakarija nkiteb ħafna snin qabel ma bistwieled Ġesu.
But it says, every eye will see him,
Li kulajn ħataraħ
the one who they had pierced.
dawk li huma stess nifduh.
And as I said, you have to realize this was written hundreds of years before Jesus was born or
Niftakruna ġan
crucified.
fakarkom li dan kiteb dal-klim kiteb ħafna snin qabel ma ġibis Ġesu.
The one they had pierced, which is Jesus, the one they crucified, pierced his hands and feet.
Ovvjament kif tafu Ġesu ġie nifdulu jdeh u żaqaħ
And it says they will mourn for him as an only son.
u qal li huma ħajdispjaċihom għalli jagħmlu.
So when Joseph sent his brothers away and they came back,
Għalhekk meta Ġusepp ukoll bat lil ħutu u reġgħu ġew lura,
he revealed himself to them and they realized who he was.
u mbagħad ovvjament ura minnu u ovvjament qallhom minnu li hu.
And that dream that God had given Joseph was fulfilled.
U rajna u naraw ukoll li f'dak il-mument il-ħolma li u r-revelazzjoni li Alla kien ta' ħafna snin qabel il-Ġusepp hemmhekk seħħet.
And if you back up a few verses before verse 20, you see that his brothers realized who Joseph was.
U ovvjament bħalma anke tara fil-vrus ta' qabel tara kif ħutu għarfuh.
And they bowed down before him just as in the dream that he saw when he was a young
U
boy.
meta għarfuh nislu għarkub tiegħhom qudiemu eżatt kif kien ħolhom meta kien għadu żgħir.
So you can see there's a lot of parallels between the story of Joseph and what Jesus did when he came.
Għalhekk tara ħafna affarijiet paralleli bejn il-ħajja ta' Ġusepp u ta' Ġesu.
And you have to also realize that Moses started writing these things down 1,500 years before Jesus even came.
U tiftakru nerġa' ngħid li Mosè kiteb ukoll dawn il-kitbiet xi 1500 sena qabel ma twieled Ġesu.
And the first 5 books of the Bible are called the books of Moses
L-ewwel 5 kotba ta' Mosè
because it's believed that Moses wrote most of those 5 books.
għax jemnu ovvjament li Mosè kitibhom.
So Genesis, the law is the foundation for the rest of the Bible.
Fil-fatt il-ktieb ta' Ġenesi jinsibuh bħala il-pedament tal-bqija.
And it tells the story of how God created the universe. That's the first verse in Genesis 1:1.
U jibda billi jispjega kif Alla ħoloq l-univers
It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
li mill-bidu jgħid li mill-bidu Alla ħalaq l-univers u d-dinja.
And people are still trying to figure out how the universe came into existence.
U n-nies għadhom sal-lum jippruvaw jifhmu kif inħoloq.
It's in the first verse of the Bible.
U dan għansibu fl-ewwel vers tal-Bibja.
So then the story goes on to tell us, Genesis tells us how Adam and Eve, they were warned. God clearly warned them not to eat from the tree of knowledge and good and evil.
Il-fatt naraw ovvjament l-istorja ta' Adam u Eva fejn Alla mill-ewwel tom twissija biex ma jiklux mill-siġra tal-erf.
And then they were deceived by the serpent and disobeyed God and ate this fruit.
Ovvjament nafu li ġew mqarqin u spiċċaw biex kielu minn dik is-siġra.
And it says God placed a curse on the creation.
U rajna wkoll li kif imbagħad il-kreazzjoni kollha ġiet misħuta.
That the man would have to work the ground by the sweat of his brow for it to bring forth food.
Li anki biex imbagħad maħabba fek il-raġel ħajkollu jbagħti biex jiekol u jgħix.
And the earth would bring forth thorns and thistles.
U li d-dinja ovvjament mhux ħatkun faċli u ħajkun hemm xewk mal-bqija.
And that the woman, she would have pain in childbirth.
U anke biex twellet il-mara ħadbati ħafna.
And that there would be this break in the relationship between the man and the wife. There would be this distrust. There would be this lack of trust in the relationship.
U ovvjament naraw ukoll li r-relazzjoni kemm il-bniet bejn il-bniedem u Alla u anke bejn ir-raġel u l-mara ħajkun hemm ukoll problemi bejniethom.
That he cursed the serpent that he would crawl on the ground and eat dirt for the rest of his life.
Naraw li s-serb ġie misħut li ħajbqa' jitkaxkar għal dejjem.
That there would be enmity between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent.
Li ħajkun hemm dejjem gwerra bejn iż-żerriegħa tal-mara u tal-serb.
That man would die physically.
Li l-bniedem ħajmut.
He said, from the dust you came, to the dust you will return.
انت من التراب جايتو والتراب حصيره.
And also that the whole creation was put into a state of decay, basically.
هو كان نراو دين مش بس البني ادم ما ovvjament il-kreazzjoni kollha ta' madwarna l-istess tispiċċa.
And then you go on and you see this, the effect of sin destroying human relationships.
Naraw l-effett ta' dnub f'kull qasam, speċjalment fir-relazzjonijiet bejnietna.
And the creation being destroyed.
U naraw l-kreazzjoni wkoll qed titkisser l-ambjent tagħna u hekk.
And then we see the further break in human relationship between Abel and his brother Cain.
Naraw mbagħad l-ewwel til hemmhekk mill-ewwel naraw anke bejn l-aħwa kien hemm problemi kbar.
The first murder, we see this.
L-ewwel til.
And then you just see this further, it just gets worse and worse till finally God raises up Noah and says, I'm just going to judge the whole creation and start over. I'm just going to wipe everything out.
Mbagħad naraw li ovvjament l-affarijiet baqgħu sejrin għall-ar fejn wasalna f'punt li Alla sab bis-sin Noe u l-familja tiegħu li jibqgħu ħajjin għax kien ħajeqret id-dinja u jerġa' jibda mill-bidu.
And all these things point to Jesus. Abel is a type of Jesus, the sacrifice, the lamb that Abel brought by faith that God accepted.
Naraw ukoll f'Abel li jippunta lejn Ġesu li ġab għaw Abel ġab il-ħaruf għas-sagrifiċċju u għall-aċċettaħ.
We see Noah, who was called a preacher of righteousness.
Noa li kien msejja predikatur tal-ħaq.
And it says that Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord.
U naraw nsibu li Noa ukoll sab grazzja f'għajnej Alla.
And for 120 years, Noah preached of this judgment that was coming upon the earth.
U għal 120 sena, ovvjament Noa kien ħin kollu jipprietka dwar dal-ġudizzju li kien ġej fuqhom.
120 years is a pretty long time for the message to get out.
Għal 120 sena huwa perjodu twil ħafna.
But they ridiculed and they mocked Noah.
Kif nafu ma tantx taw kasu anzi ddieħu bih.
But God had made a way for everyone to escape this judgment that was coming.
Ma naraw li Alla kien kollox kellu pjanat u anki kif tafu Noa kien jipritka imma.
He instructed Noah to build this ark.
Ovvjament taħ l-istruzzjonijiet biex jibni dik l-arka kbira.
And he said, anyone that will enter the ark will be saved.
U qal li kull min jidħol fl-arka dak biss ħajsalva.
But then it says, finally, God shut the door.
Imma fil-fatt Alla għala il-bib tagħha tal-arka.
And that, again, that represents Jesus. That ark is Jesus. That's our putting our faith in Jesus. Jesus is the door. He even said that in John chapter 10. He said, I am the door.
Fil-fatt ukoll l-istorja tal-arka ukoll naraw il-Ġesu fiha bħalma Ġesu qal li hu t-triq u l-bib u fil-fatt letteralment kien hemm dal-bib li Alla għalaq biex isalva l dawk kollha li hemm ġo l-arka.
And just on a side note, I mean, the evidence of the flood is all over the planet.
L-evidenza hija ċara mad-dinja kollha tal-flood daw tal-arar.
So you can go anywhere on the earth and you'll see the same rock layers.
Fil-fatt tista' tmur madwar id-dinja kollha u ħassib il-prova tagħha.
And what do you see in those rock layers?
Mhux ħassib f'dak il-partijiet ta' ġol blat.
You see billions and billions of animals that were buried in a cataclysmic event.
U ħassib biljuni ta' annimali u insetti li nqerdu f'dak il-moment tant disastruż.
We call them fossils.
U ħana nsejħulhom fossili.
And if something dies and lays on the ground, it's not going to lay there for long, okay?
U jekk kif tafu jekk xi ħaġa tmut u taqa' mal-art ma ddumx hemm.
Like maybe you've seen a cat on the side of the road.
Forsi tara pereżempju jinnaf xi ħattus.
Maybe a mouse died in your house or something. It's not going to stay there for long, right?
Mhux ħajdum hemm.
But in these fossils, they have fossilized fish giving birth.
imma fil-fossili naraw li kien hemm ukoll fossili pereżempju ta' ħuta dbit.
They found billions and billions of fossilized clams that are still closed.
Ta' pjanti li għadhom magħluqin.
What happens when a clam dies?
Ta' mussels aw
They open up.
arzell li ovvjament kienu għadhom qed jinfetħu jew jingħalqu ġifieri dak ikun mietet jew naħa jew oħra.
So people try to say that these rock layers were laid down slowly, sedimentation over hundreds and millions of years.
Ovvjament l-arkeoloġisti provaw jgħidu li jisma' dawn saru miljuni ta' snin.
But you wouldn't find billions of fossilized animals on some very slow, billions of years process.
Da ma ssibiex ġifieri ymkien li għamlu biljuni biex saru hekk f'dik il-pożizzjoni.
If a fish dies, what happens? It falls to the bottom of the sea,
Jekk ħuta tmut, ovvjament tinżel fil-qiegħ,
and then the crabs eat it, or something eats it, you know.
ovvjament ħassejb f'posta f'ximkien f'xi żaqta ġat ieħor.
It doesn't lay on the bottom of the sea and turn into a fossil.
Ħasseb li bda xi ħuta tintefa' hemm u biżmien issir fossila.
And besides that, they found trees, vertical trees going through many layers of rocks.
Xi ħaġa ta' importanza kbira li sabu wkoll siġar weqfin fit-tul tal-blat, ġifieri mhux qiegħda ma jistax ikun qiegħda f'mument wieħed, ġifieri saret f'mument wieħed mhux biżmien.
So anyway, I didn't really mean to go down that path, but
Ħafna
just felt like
xedejt
it was
fuqha.
important. But anyway, it just shows us the Bible's true.
Dan huma verament dettalji xjentifiċi li iktar isaħħu kemm l-iskrittura hija vera.
But again, it also shows God's patience. It shows it shows a righteous, holy God who's powerful enough to create the universe.
Ma wkoll narfu wkoll iktar kemm hu Alla Setan li bil-paċenzja ħoloq dak kollu li hawn madwarna li naraw ma narawx.
But it also shows us a God that's not going to tolerate wickedness.
U naraw ukoll Alla li huwa ġust u ma jħallix il-ħażen jikber.
So after the flood, we know that Noah and his family started to repopulate the earth.
Għalhekk naraw wara l-arar li sar Noa u l-familja tiegħu, ovvjament t-tfal tiegħu bdew jerġgħu jimlew id-dinja.
So then a bunch of people led by Nimrod decided that they would build a big tower.
Mbagħad naraw fl-istorja nsibu l-Nimrod li dan ħeġġeġ in-nies biex jagħmlu torri biex jilħqu lil Alla.
And they were disobeying God by doing that because all the way back in Genesis, God told them to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth.
Dan ovvjament mar kontra il-kmand tal-Alla u rida tal-Alla.
And I want to congratulate you people that are being obedient to that command.
Ovvjament nirringrazzja l-Alla li qegħdin nobdu dal-kmand.
So, but anyway, so then after the Tower of Babel and the people were dispersed over the earth, it says God went and called this man Abraham.
Mbagħad naraw ġifieri wara li bnew it-torri u kienu qegħdin viċin Alla ġalhom jitkellmu b'lisna differenti u mabba fek infirxu u wafqu l-proġett u mbagħad naraw lill-Abram fl-istorja.
So from Genesis chapter 12 up to where we just read today to the end of Genesis in chapter 50,
Għalhekk minn kapitlu 12 sa kapitlu 50 ta' Ġenesi.
it tells the story of Abraham, his son Isaac, Isaac's son Jacob, and then we see the 12 sons of Jacob in the rest of the book of Genesis.
Naraw l-Abram, Isaac, il-Ġakob u 12 il-tfal tiegħu ta' Ġakob.
And so here at the end of Genesis, we see Joseph,
Għawek naraw fl-aħħar ta' Ġenesi, naraw il-Ġużepp,
who I've already said is a type of Jesus in the Old Testament.
palma tiġat huwa tip ta' Ġesu fl-Antik Testament.
Now, the Genesis doesn't tell us any negative things about Joseph.
Fil-fatt laqqas nsibu xejn ħażin fuq Ġużeppi.
But he wasn't a sinless person. He was not a perfect man. He was a human being.
Ovvjament kien imma niftakru li kien persuna bħal kulħadd, allura kien jagħmel kellu difetti, nuqqasijiet.
But God used him, this promise and God's plan that he started with Abraham.
Għalhekk naraw ukoll li Ġusepp ġie użat minn Alla biex iwettaq il-weda li kien tal l-Abram.
You see this plan moving forward and being carried out in the life of Joseph and his brothers.
Naraw il-weda tal-Alla l-Abram titwettaq fl-istorja kompluta ta' Ġusepp u ħutu.
So if we look at Genesis 50 verse 20,
Lek naraw narġaw Ġenesi kapitlu 50 vers 20.
and it also says that Joseph began to speak in Hebrew. They knew who he was when he began to speak to them in their language.
Ovvjament għarfuh, bdew jarfuh meta qabatu jkellimhom bl-istess lingwa.
And it also shows that that his brothers had repented, that they were actually sorrowful for what they'd done against their brother.
Fil-fatt naraw ukoll li meta għadda żmien u ħutu wkoll għarfu li għamlu ħażin.
They were weeping and crying because they were showing an outward sign of their sorrow for having sinned against God and for having sinned against their brother.
Fil-fatt urew l-indiema tagħhom għax urew id-dispjaċir li li jagħmlu.
And Joseph comforts them. He says, "But you meant it for evil against me, but God meant it for good."
Fil-fatt Joseph qallhom ħsibtu intom biex tagħmlu li d-deni iżda Alla rid għal ġid.
In order to bring it about as it is this day to save many people.
Fil-fatt komplejt biex jagħmel kif dal-jum taraw li inżomm ħajja ħafna nies.
So the point there is that his brothers meant harm. They meant evil towards Joseph when he was a younger man.
Fil-fatt ovvjament kif qed jgħid hawnhekk ħutu meta kienu iżgħar ridulu d-deni lil Ġusepp u bijawh biex jeħilsu minnu.
But God meant it for good.
Imma dik xi ħaġa ħażina ħafna Alla dawwara għat-tajjeb tant li.
And we know that just like Jesus fed the 5,000 with loaves of bread, right?
Bħalma Ġesu wkoll nafu li tama dawk il-5,000 ruħ biftit ħobs u ħut.
God gave Joseph wisdom and gave him a dream so that they would store up grain.
Fil-fatt Alla ta' l-erf lil Ġusepp biex seta jittranslate jew jifhem lil Farawni il-ħolma li kellu.
So that when the famine came, everybody was coming to Egypt for food because there was a great famine and people were dying of starvation.
Fil-fatt bir-revelazzjoni li tal il-Ġusepp salvaw eluf kbar ta' nies għax ħabba fek u għamel mod kif fil-żmien ta' aks u ma kellhom l-affarijiet diġà maħżuna.
And Joseph knew the promises of God.
U Ġusepp kien jafda u jaf il-wediet talla.
He said, carry my body up out of this land.
Fil-fatt tant kien hekk li kien jaf li l-lut ħutu kienu ħajmorru fl-art imweda ta' l-Abram u għallhom biex jieħdu l-Adam tiegħu hemmhekk.
And take me with you up to the land that was promised to our fathers, that was promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Taraw kemm Ġusepp kien jiftakar u jżomm il-talim li kellhom dak iż-żmien li Abram kellu imwiet art li ma kienx Eġittu għalhekk uriet ukoll li jkun hemmhekk fil-post imwiet.
And that's what it talks about in Hebrews 11. It says, by faith, Joseph had his brothers take his body out of Egypt and take him to the land, to the promised land, promised to them promised to God, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Għalhekk hawnhekk naraw kif nsibu fi-ktieb tal-Lut li Ġusepp kellu di li Alla ħajżomm il-weda tiegħu ma' ħutu li ried saħansetta wara mewtu li l-Adam tiegħu jinġarru fl-art imweda li kienu għadhom ma jafux biha u mhux qed jarawha.
So Joseph was a great man of faith all the way up to the end of his life.
Fil-fatt naraw għalhekk Ġusepp sal-aħħar moment ta' ħajtu baqa' ta' fidi kbira lejn Alla.
Now, he could have said, I'm a ruler in Egypt. Everything's good. We got plenty of wealth and farmland and crops and livestock and all these things. We could just stay in Egypt and have a good life.
Fil-fatt Ġusepp fil-pożizzjoni għolja ħafna li kellu seta' jaħseb li jgħid din hi l-arti mwiegħda għandna kollox f'idejna jinnikmandaw ikel li trid ġifieri kellhom art kbira ħafna.
And he told them to keep moving forward, to keep going forward and doing what God had called this nation of people to do.
Imma le kien jaf u jafda li dik ma kienx l-art mwiegħda ma kienet oħra għalhekk qallhom biex Alla ħajismagħhom u ħajħroġhom minn din l-art.
He's calling us to do the same thing.
U l-istess qed naraw hija sejħa lina wkoll.
To keep living by faith and to keep enduring till the end of our race, whatever that may be.
Biex aħna l-koll nibqgħu bil-fidi sal-aħħar.
And holding on to the promises of God.
U nibqgħu nafdaw u nemmnu fil-wediet kollha talla.
Believing what he said.
Ovvjament nemmnu ta' dak li qed jgħid.
In Hebrews 11 it talks about Abraham.
U naraw fil-ktib tal-Lut ukoll insibu l-Abram.
It says Abraham wasn't looking for an earthly city.
Abram ma kienx qed ifittex għal belt tal-art.
Abraham was looking for a heavenly city.
Kien qed ifittex imma lejn art ta' smewiet.
And that's the promise to us, every one of us who has put our trust and put our faith in Jesus.
Għalhekk l-istess aħna li poġġejna l-fidi tagħna u nafdaw f'Ġesu.
And the price that he paid for our sins on the cross.
U niftakru fil-ħlas li ta' ħallas fuq is-salib.
The hope that we have in the resurrection.
It-tama li għandna fil-qawmim mill-mewt tiegħu.
And entering into the heavenly city.
U nidħlu fil-art imwiegħda imma fil-ġenna.
God is faithful. He will complete what he has started.
Alla huwa fidil u ġust u jlesti dak li wiegħed.
He did it in the life of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Joshua, all those people we read about in the Old Testament.
Naraw ċara li seħħet fl-Antik Testament ma' ħafna nies talla.
Daniel and all the rest.
Daniel u l-bqija.
And the thing I'm really looking forward to in the heavenly city is Jesus is going to be there.
U xaġa li verament looking forward għalija li Ġesu ħajkun jatem.
It said there'll be no sun there.
Li ħajkun hemm l-ibda xemx.
There'll be no sun.
L-ibda xemx.
It says the Lamb will be its light.
Imma id-dawr ħajjiġi mill-ħaruf.
So I just hope that encourages us today to remember that as we go on this journey, like the Israelites.
Narġa' ninkoraġġikom aħna issa wkoll kif qrajna dan kollu aħna li għaddejjin f'dil-mixja tagħna bħalma kienu l-Lut fil-mixja tagħhom.
That God will give us strength and give us wisdom to go through this life.
Li Alla ħajtina kull erf u kull kollu li għandna bżonn biex nibqgħu għaddejjin fil-ħajja tagħna.
In a way that's a good witness and a good testimony for his name.
Biex nkunu ta' xieda tajba l-ismu.
And that whatever happens, that I have a promise that I will be in the heavenly city.
Li jien għandi l-weda minn Alla stess li ħankun miegħu.
In a new body, a glorified body. Who's looking forward to that?
Ġisem ġdid, glorifikat.
No more pain, no more suffering, no more death. The curse will be totally lifted and gone.
Minna ruġieħ minna rbiki, il-seħta ħatitlaq.
We'll see our loved ones that have gone before us that have died in faith in Jesus.
Dawk li nħobbu, li ovvjament tlifna, dawk li kellhom il-fidi f'Ġesu narġgħu narawhom.
And not because I'm good or because I deserve it.
Mhux għax jien tajjeb jew għax jixraq lihek.
But because of what Jesus did for me.
Imma għax dak kollu li għamel Ġesu għalija.
So I hope that encourages someone this morning. I hope it. And remember, we are one body. We need to lift each other up. We need to walk this path daily. And if you come to church on Sunday morning, you don't see a brother or sister here. Check on them and see how they're doing. Send them a message. Say a prayer for them. Say, hey, I didn't see you in church this Sunday. I hope everything's all right. I'm praying for you.
tibbat له messaġġ tgħidu isma' ma rajtekx tama li kollox sewa qed nitlob għalik.
You'd be surprised what that'll do for somebody, especially if they're going through a difficult time.
U ovvjament kieku tafx differenza tagħmel dik il-persuna li speċjalment tkun għaddejja minn xi perjodu ikraħ.
And just let them know that you're thinking about them and then that you're praying for them. And
Turihom li taħseb fihom u li titlob għalihom.
so I've gone over my time. Forgive me for
Għalhekk
that.
għadda l-ħin.
Thank you, everyone.